Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. My ponytail is being stupid. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is my review for Season 5, Episode 1 of Tamar and Vince. Now, we all know what's going on currently with Tamar and Vince. Everybody know that Tamar's filed for divorce. Vince don't want to get divorced. He want to try to work it out. But everybody was wondering what led up to this divorce filing. Well, guess what? We're going to get to find out. So, one, I hope everybody had a good day. Two, I hope everyone had a good day. 3, I hope everyone had a good day. Now that we got that out the way, let's get started into this episode. So the episode starts off, saying how, recently on October 24th or whatever the day was, that Tamar filed for divorce. They say how the cameras was there, leading up to all of this going on. And, you see the producers, Tamar and Vince is sitting there, and, in their interview looks, basically. And the producer's like, can you explain what Tamar meant by saying, she wishes she had excitement in her relationship instead of just coexisting. You say what that means. And both Tamar and Vince just look over the whole situation, conversation, or whatever it may be that's going on. And like they just didn't want to discuss it. And I'm like, okay, we see some things going on, so, because they both look a little bit angry. So from there, it goes like, okay, 3 months prior. And so this is everything before divorce filing and all that stuff. So, it shows Tamar and Vince at home, like sitting outside at their pool, and they're just basically having regular conversation. Tamar is saying how I know I had laser and I don't get why I still got hair on me. And she's like, that's like what you have in your weight loss surgery, what if you were still a little thickums. So this is the first time I can recall them saying Vince lost weight by having weight loss surgery. I don't recall them ever talking about that. And it could be because he had it done in between the last season and this current season. But I don't remember. I know they've talked about him losing weight, how he is in better shape. But I don't recall them ever being specific and saying how. I was like, okay, he just been losing weight. He been exercising and getting it down in the gym. But, we find out that he actually he had the gastric sleeve done. And, they both say, he's like, I'm happy with how I look now. And she's like, well, as you should. You look good. And, he says how he's lost 100 pounds with the weight loss surgery. And, but he admits that he now wants to have the skin removal surgery. And this is kind of the same, this is the same kind of conversation that Google was having on, Mary, how she wanted to also have her skin removed from weight loss. And that is true. As y'all know, I'm a big girl, always been a big girl. I might not always be as big a girl as I am. You know what I'm saying? Because I am trying to get, healthier and healthy as everybody else should be. But, when you are bigger and you lose weight, whether you lose weight by working out or you lose weight by having surgery, your skin, you have excess skin because you're a bigger person. And people always say, well, don't your skin just snatch back? Being plus size, depending on your plus sizeness, isn't the same as like if you're pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Because, pregnant women, skin snatches back. It's completely different when you are a plus size person because you are most of the time plus size for a longer amount of time, so the skin is stretched for a longer amount of time. And then sometimes for pregnant women, some pregnant women do have that little bit of, excess skin in the belly area, and they end up going to have them dang on tummy tucks. So, Vince is just saying how, he's lost his weight and he want to get it gone because it's all excess skin. And of course, Tamar is against it due to him having the blood clots. When you have blood clots, sometimes surgery isn't safe because of your blood clots. It can cause all kind of issues. So Tamar is kind of against it. So, yeah. We also see Tamar saying how she just wants to be a better entertainer And that sometimes she feels tense and feels pressure to be a better entertainer and a better person or whatnot. And, she said how she's had a rough the last year because, of course, her and Tiny fell out. She lost her job, at the Rio. She just said how she, consistently felt rejected. I can get that. If you feel like you're constantly losing stuff and like people don't accept you for who you are, no matter whether you're good, bad, or indifferent, it still can affect you to make you feel, rejected. So I'm like, okay. And I think she's just showing a different side of herself that some people don't see. Like, a lot of people be like, Tamar's extra. Like, I have coworkers who were talking about Tamar's albums, and I'm a Tamar fan, and they was like, I just don't know who her core audience is. And I was like, me. You know what I'm saying? I love Tamar. So, but she just said how she just wished, she didn't feel rejected, basically. Almost dying with the whole her blood clot issue and her, all that stuff. And she's like, she just wants to be the face of change and, the face of getting a second chance because she feel like she's gotten a second chance at a lot of stuff. Kudos is what I meant to say. So from there, we see Tamar has a new hairstylist. And it's the guy, James Wright. Now, she said he was a hairstylist extraordinaire to the stars. I always thought James Wright was the dude who did the pie thing for Patti LaBelle. I didn't know he was a hairstylist to the stars. I didn't know that. Now, I'm wondering, did he become the hairstylist to the stars after that? Or was he the hairstylist? You know what? It doesn't really matter. So they're going to a stylist to get fitted for a show she has at a club. And, she's also saying how she hoped she hoped Vince is going to have everything taken care of as her manager for this performance that she has coming up at this club. Let's hope so. We see Vince and Benzino. They're hanging out at the golf club and everything. And, Vince is bringing up how, it's tough being, both husband and manager. Basically because, him and Tamar have been together for 14 years. And he's like, when you're both husband and manager, you're always with this person. You're never off. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just always with that person. And, you can't get away from that person because, for one, you live with that person and you work with that person. So even if y'all not working on stuff, you still in that person's presence because it's your wife. And even if you not at home with the person, but you working, you with them because y'all at work. So, that can be a tough thing to do. Vince brings up how he's going back to his hometown of New Jersey, to visit the grave. Well, no, what did he say? He said he was going back to visit. Well, he went back to visit the grave of his parents, is what I was going to say, because that's what he did. But it's also the first time his friends and family will see him since he has lost the weight. And he's also discussing with Benzino how he wants to have the skin removal surgery. He brings up how it's about 17 pounds worth of excess skin on him that he wants to get rid of and how he just wants to have that surgery. But he admits, how Tamar does not want him to have it. And Benzino, said, you gonna have the surgery? Even though Tamar don't want you to? And he was like, yeah, the doctor, I'm gonna go see my doctor in, Jersey. And if she says I'm okay for surgery, then, I'll have it, period. And, Benzino was like, Category 5 Hurricane Tamar is gonna really come through. And, and she might. So, we see Tamar at a meeting with her distribution company who will be distributing her album, and she was excited about the My Man record. She was bringing up how she had such a great performance at the BET Awards. Now, in this episode, she kept mentioning how good her BET Awards performance was. I can't remember it. If it's the performance I'm thinking about, I think people was insinuating that she was lip syncing when she was performing on the BET Awards. Now, while it was a great performance, you know what I'm saying, I remember that. But I'm like, did she keep saying that to? Let me not. What I remember is people saying that she was lip syncing. That's what I remember. I remember people saying that it was a great performance, but they thought that she was lip syncing, and so hand in hand, it is what it is. So she also brings up how she wants to keep the momentum going. with the My Man record, with her album coming out. But she's like, I performed at the BT's Awards like a month ago. My album not coming out, for a couple of months. How are you going to keep the momentum coming in between time, in the meantime? She also brings up how she doesn't want to release her album around the same time as anyone else, basically because it's competition. The smartest thing to do when you have an album coming out is try to release it on the date when no one else's album is coming out, because then the fans don't have to pick and choose between who album to get, and you're not having to really compete with other people. So, I think that's smart. I think that was smart. They didn't kind of say what they would do. They would have said they would just keep promoting it, the whole time. What else? Vince went back to Jersey. Now, he, admitted that he had not been there in a while, that he does not visit his parents' grave, often. That's a hard thing for anyone to do, so I can completely understand that. He says that Tamar didn't come because she stayed with Logan, and how he's like, because I don't want to bring Logan to a cemetery, because I don't want him to be introduced to death, that early in life, because Logan is 4. But he did have 3 of his childhood friends meet him at the cemetery. So we do find out, because he's like, I've been burying people since I was 13. So I'm like, well, that's a long time to have been burying people, and to have be losing people. So he admit how, he lost his mom and dad very early on, and that, because he lost his mom so early, he didn't really get to learn about women, because he lost his dad so early, he didn't get to, learn too much about being a man. And I can completely get that. When you lose your parents so early on in life, it makes you incomplete in many different ways. So to lose your mother and your father is hard. And, he says how, but he still has been trying his best to do his best, despite of what he didn't know, growing up. He was crying on camera, basically, just because it's a hard thing to talk about losing a parent. Trust me, I know, because I lost my father. And he was basically saying the reason he loves his Tamar and his family the way he loves them is because he understands the loss if they weren't here anymore. He brings up how, Tamar has never lost anyone in her life, meaning she's never lost someone close in her life to death. You know what I'm saying? And when you if you have never lost a parent, a sibling, even a close grandparent, you don't understand how tremendous that loss hits you, and it stays with you forever. Like, it never goes away. And as he's talking, he's crying about it, and he's saying, my mom got up and left and went to work one day, and said, I'll see you when I get home. And he's like, and I never saw her alive again. She, she died that day. And he's like, so Tamar doesn't know what it feels like to not be able to hear someone's voice on the other side of the phone, because she has both her parents and she has all of her siblings. So even if she's lost a cousin or aunt or uncle, it's a completely different thing to lose a parent, let alone both parents as a child or as a young adult, a younger person or whatever. Because I don't know how old he was. I'm guessing he was maybe 13 when one passed away, and then however old he was when the other one passed away. And he says how, and as he's talking, he's crying the whole time. Not like boo-hoo crying, but, he has tears coming down his face. He's just saying that, losing both his parents made him appreciate things more, and that's the reason why he loves his family so hard. And, that's why he loves that way, because he understands loving someone and then they are just gone for the rest of forever. He loved his mom and then she was gone. He loved his dad and his dad was gone. And I understood the reason he was saying that, simply because he's saying, people might think I'm around Tamar too much. I love her that way because I understand how it would feel, how hard it would be if she was never here, if I lost her. And, that's why I'm holding on to her for dear life. I completely got it. Because I'm not gonna cry. It's hard to be talking to someone one moment and then they're gone the next. you know, for me, the day my father passed away, I talked to him a couple of hours earlier within the day. Hey, Dad, what you doing? Oh, nothing. You know, sitting around with DJ, you know, conversation. All right, honey, I'll talk later. All right, love you, love you. And then a couple hours later, you know, my dad was gone. So I can completely get that feeling. So, yeah. So next, I'm not gonna cry. We see Tamar on the radio and she's talking with Baby Smith. And while she's on the radio talking with Baby Smith, Vince is at the doctor's office and he's, you know, talking to the doctor about possibly getting a surgery. And the doctor is basically saying all surgeries have risks. Yes, you have blood clots. And when you have surgery, the blood clot situation can get more dangerous and cause more risk because your blood clots. They have to take you off blood thinner, which makes your blood clot, and then during the surgery they have to be sure to put you back on the blood thinner in enough time so that you don't have a situation. Okay, now I didn't recall her saying it was okay for him to have surgery. Okay, I remember her saying, you know, there are risks with any surgery, you know, especially for a person who has blood clot issues. But Vince brings up his blood clot issues was from 5 years ago. It was when he was a heavier person. He has a completely different lifestyle now. So he might not be under as much risk as he would have been 5 years ago. So when he goes home to talk to Tamar, he's like, well, yeah, I talked to the doctor, and, you know, she said it's basically okay for me to have the surgery, that if you have any questions, you can give her a call, and she can, you know, answer any questions you have. Vince is on a tip to where he feels like he's finally able to live his life because he doesn't have this heaviness on him anymore, and for the first time he feels like he's living his life, and he wants to stay positive, where Tamar is like, I'm scared that something might happen, and he's trying to live life, and she's a little bit scared because she had to live through the fear of, dang, what if he died? But he didn't die, you know what I'm saying? He didn't die, so she still doesn't understand that loss of, damn, he died, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole different thing. So, you know, when he's talking to her, and she's like, well, you know, I think you should just work out and the skin come, you know, snap back. How do you know you should have the surgery if you haven't worked out? He like, the skin not going to snatch back. And it won't. You know what I'm saying? People have said that before. Oh, you just work out. And it's completely different. Doctors will tell you at a certain point in time, certain skin that has been stretched that far won't snap back. Okay? So, it is what it is. And they kind of just agreed to disagree, with him saying he wants to have it done, and that's the bottom line, and her saying, well, I thought we were still talking about it. And he was like, well, no, I'm going to have the surgery. Like, I'm not going to have it right now, but I'm going to have it eventually. And, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, we see Tamar getting ready for a show. James said he is a celebrity stylist, but he had a synthetic wig, and he was curling it. Okay, if you say so. So, we then see her, as it says, her live audio engineer, that dude TC, who I remember from a couple seasons ago. He like, oh yeah, I went to the venue, did a sound check, everything was fine, you're gonna be great. And he like, oh yeah. And she's like, well, how you gonna work the sound, you know, at the club? He says, I'm gonna do it through my phone. And she was like, excuse me, say what? What'd you say? And he was like, I'm gonna do it through my phone. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So, you know, they on their way to the show. You know, Tamar, like, let's get these things moved one more time. Let's work one more time. She in the parking lot, you know, popping and locking and, you know what I'm saying, two-stepping it on out. And Vince like, can we do this inside? Like, this don't look like what a superstar would do. And she's like, yes, it would, because we out here practicing. I mean, she was performing at a club. She wasn't at a venue. She was doing a club appearance, and she was performing. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, they go in. So, you know, when they go in and she starts to do her show, the sound sounds horrible. Like, it's you hear like the feedback from the microphone, so all the loud noises. It was just bad. It was really bad. And she looked pissed, and she looking at TC ass like, I thought you said you had and it was a good sound check, but this ain't no good dang on sound check. So, you know, she performing, and I mean, the sound was bad. She didn't sound bad, but the music you know, just the feedback you hear out of the lot, it was bad. It was really bad. And she looked pissed, but she still performed. She's a performer, okay? She's a celebrity performer. She is a professional. Even though, as we then see, because we saw at one moment, we see Vince coming out to the stage to try to get things fixed, and she's like, yeah, Vince, fix it. Because again, she performed, but she's still pissed off. We then see the dancers never came on the stage. The dancers who she was in the parking lot dancing with, they somewhere else. They ain't even come. And she like, and why am I, in her confession, of course, I'm out here and the dancers didn't come out. Where the hell is the dancers? Vince, my manager, I don't see why he didn't have it together. And she's on the mic and she was like, I'm pissed. Because she was. I remember seeing clips from that show and people saying that she was pissed because her sound was messed up. Now, no one said that she sounded bad. They said that she still performed her ass off, but that the sound, it was sound issues. So, at the end of her performance, we do see like 2 male dancers come out the blue, but she been dancing on stage by herself the whole time. And y'all know she got that song Hot Sugar, where she usually had the dancers dancing with her. Honey, she had to improvise that whole song. And I'm like, ooh, she gonna cut somebody's head off. And even though she performed like the professional that she is, she also was looking at her team pissed off. Because it's one thing if the sound is messed up in the beginning. But for my sound to be messed up my whole performance, I'm pissed off. And then my dancers didn't come out, I'm pissed off. So, you know, she do her set and she leaves when she in the back. And she's like, okay, where's Vince? You know, where's Vincent the Herbert? And Vince come walking up and Vince looked like he know he finna get it. Like he looked like a kid who literally just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar while his other hand was in his mama's purse trying to get $1 to pay for some more cookies. Like he looked busted. And she's like, so what happened? And he was like, what? You know, the sound? Yeah, the sound was messed up. You know, that was crazy. And then, you know, Tamar in her confessional saying, you know, people need to be on their job and do their job. You know, if they are expected to do something, I expect them to do it because they expect me to cut them a check. I said, well, that's true. And I'm thinking for that, she meant sound, for one, because the sound was messed up. But then, you know, when she like, what happened with the first dancers? She like, you know, I have no idea. You know, they weren't in their spot. And she like, but did anyone tell them where their spot was? And he was like, Tamar, you know, I don't know. I have no idea. You know, they were where they were. Were they, Vincent? But where the fuck were they? You know what I'm saying? And it was weird because I'm like, as her manager, why aren't you pissed? Vincent? And I'm not even against Vincent. I'm not even trying to pit one against the other because they're not going for a divorce. But just from a professional standpoint, if you my manager, you know, you are supposed to make sure that my show is right. And what Vince then says, you know, he says, my job is to make sure that Tamar is where Tamar needs to be. Basically saying, I got her there. It wasn't my job to make sure her show was right. But I'm like, the last time I checked, that is what managers do. They make sure things are right for the show. You make sure, yes, that the artist is there, but you also make sure the sound stage stuff is there. You make sure that the dancers, you make sure that the person who's performing is set to perform and everything is in line. And if that ain't your job, then you hire someone and you make that their job. Okay? And I felt bad for Tamar. Because I'm like, you know, it's never the artist's job to be sure the manager is doing their job. It's not the artist's job to be sure that my dancers are where they are supposed to be. If my dancers are supposed to come on stage at a certain point, how can I make sure they come out if I'm on stage? So, you know, at the end, she was like, you know, being in business with Vince, it's a lot. And if things are not intact, things will fall apart. And the previews for the rest of the season, things fall apart. I mean, as tough as it's going to be to watch, I'm intrigued to watch this season. I am already tuned in. I will be reviewing every Thursday. And I hope at the end of this season, which will take about a month or two, that Tamar and Vince in real time, in real life, can come to terms, can come to some kind of conclusion, can both be in a better mental, physical, and spiritual headspace to be able to coexist in one way or the other, either as husband and wife or as co-parents. You know what I'm saying? I wish them both the best, but I will be tuned in every week. So that was my review for Tamar and Vince season 5 episode 1. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed already. Do not forget to also share my videos. So until next time, peace.